everyone, welcome back to Railway Cottage Studio. This is Karen. I've been working away in my little journal for the last hour or so while I've been waiting for my iris to dry and my camera to cool down. So we are good to go again. Let me just show you what we've ended up with. If you watched my last video, you would have seen that I have traced this, I used an iron-on transfer for an iris. This is one of the elements I want to put in my travel stitchery journal from our trip down to Bowral, because my mum loves irises, my grandma loved irises, and there was beautiful irises down there. So I've just used an old iron-on transfer to put it onto some old doily fabric. Excuse me. And then I've used my brand new Derwent Inktense markers, to colour it in, just as a first try of using them at all. Sorry, I'm just going to grab a drink. And so this is a result. I've had some bleeding around here, so obviously used too much water. The colours have turned out okay, but you can see here this didn't really blend. So I'm going to do some more painting on that now and put that aside to dry. I also went through and actually just did a colour sample of each of the colours so that I know what they are. This is them just coloured in, and that's with a bit of water. So I'm going to pick up the green here, which is the apple green, just to get rid of that line. I don't like that line at all. Again, these are a new treat that I got for myself. And funnily enough, they arrived yesterday, and I was watching some videos yesterday, and Susanna on Vintage Blend Studio was using them to colour in an old stitchery. So thank you, Susanna. What a great idea. It's given me the idea to try and make a vintage element of an iris. I'm going to paint it all, leave it to dry, and then I'm going to tea dye it and bring the colours down and use it in my journal. So I think it's the apple green that I have here. Is that apple green? Yes. So when Susanna did her video, she also used a little spritzer gun, little spritzer thing, which is what I think I need to do too. So here I've done a line, so that wasn't very successful, was it? So I'm going to try and just do some shading, and hopefully that will disperse a bit better with the water. I'm just going to grab my little mat to go under that. The table's a bit rough. And again, I am not a drawer at all. I've tried, this is an iron-on transfer to fabric. But these pencils are permanent. So once you add water to them, they activate. I mean, you can use them as colouring in pencils, I guess, but they activate the colour, and it actually is permanent. So it says you can wash this at 30 degrees and then it's permanent. And then any subsequent layers you put on, the ink underneath doesn't move. I mean, that's without washing. You can use them on wood and ceramics and all sorts of things. So they grabbed my attention, and I'm hoping to have some great ways to use them. So again, I'm just going to add a bit more blendy bits, bearing in mind that I am going to also tea dye this. So I have got a bit of a line around the outside. I think I used the darker green, which from my thing is leaf green. It's this one. So again, I'm just going to try and blend that a bit more. So just put a little bit more of the colour on, so that when I actually add the water, it has some colour to blend as my train. So I'm hoping that even though that it has bled a little bit, that because I'm going to tea dye that, it's not going to worry me too much. What do you think? So I'm going to put a little bit of water on this and then put it aside to dry, and then we're going to have a look at what I've been doing in my little Vintage Rabbit journal. So have a look. I'm just going to zoom you in a little bit more. Let me see. Here we go. It's come out really good. Like, I am not a drawer or a painter at all, but it's actually, see how it's maintained some of the lines? It hasn't all just blended like watercolours do. Let me see if I can just lift you up so you can get a better look. came out quite good. So let's try with a bit of water. And I think I used too much water last time. I've got a little towel here just to blot. Let's just see what happens. I'm just going to go over those bits that I just added. Sorry, too much water again. I need to go to Kmart and get a new little spritzy gun, don't I? A little water mister. Go down here where the white is. So I've just finished watching Rachel's Roxy Creations video, and Rachel has just been so lovely and mentioned me so many times in her video. She's doing her own version of this little vintage stitches journal. So thank you so much, Rachel. And if you've come here from Rachel's video, thank you so much from coming over. I hope that you find something that inspires you. Oh, look, that looks better. Hey, that looks good. It's getting that fine line between too much water and not enough. There we go. And again, this is a fabric that has got very fine, very tightly woven. So how that affects the paint compared to something that's a bit looser like a linen, I don't know. So I'm finding that black now, or the dark green. All right, I'm going to put just a little bit of white up in here, and then I did have an image on my iPad that I was looking at. There was a white kind of down there, and then a little bit more white through here. So one of the pens I found, pencils, is called the Outliner. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research just to see what that is. I mean, it would stand to reason it's for outlining. Let's just see what happens. I don't know. Don't know that I want any more outlines at this point, but I will do a bit of Google searching on that. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water to that white just to activate it. It's good how it holds. You know how like white in a watercolor just kind of disappears? Okay, I'm going to call that finished and let that dry. So the last one dried really quickly, and then I just actually put the iron on it because, you know, I didn't want to wait anymore. So I'm going to put that aside to dry. So they again are the Derwent Inktense pencils. I bought a set of 24 from Amazon. They're about $60 I think delivered, so they're not cheap, but I did a fair bit of research first to see that I would use them enough to make the purchase worthwhile. Sorry, just grabbing a drink. So let's go back to my little rabbit journal. So I've been stitching away. I wanted to show you what I've done to the cover, and the sort of thing that's awesome. The thing that's awesome about this type of journal is you can just keep adding. So as I've been stitching away, I've done some stitching along the top here, you can see around. I've used a little bit of wool there, but mainly just pearly cottons. I haven't put anything on the inside here yet, just adding as the whim hits me. I love the cover. I love my, all the colours are working really well. And again, this is a piece of pillow. It's not a 100-year-old quilt. It's a piece of pillow, pillow slip. So, you know, quilted fabric can come in many shapes and forms. So inside, I finished seed stitching this little page. This is the first page of our journey. Let's go via Randwick because we got very lost instead of going to Rose Hill. This little one's from Sarah. She's shared these with me, Sarah Roxborough, who I caught up with in Sydney. And this is just the story of Mum and my trip away. So this little journal is going to be a place for me to put some memories of that trip, and then to do a bit of exploration of different techniques, for example, with the iris that I'm doing. So this is my ribbon that I got at the quilt show, and that's Mum and me having a lovely time away. So again, this represents our little cottage we stayed in, spring in the Highlands, tulip season, and all the goodies. So this is where I was up to, I think, when I saw you last. So I've stitched this page down. So this is just representing all the beautiful little stone houses that we saw down there, all with chimneys. And when you come from central Queensland, you know, those little stone houses with chimneys look different for us. We don't have those. We have Queenslanders, and, you know, big new shopping centres. We don't have lovely old buildings like that. So this is just, you know, one of the main sort of imprints I have of that trip. And then of course we've got the tulip gardens. So many houses had the most beautiful gardens down there. Some flowers, and then just some beautiful old blue fabrics. I have pinned this little guy here. He's just a little rabbit. I've cut him out of a template that I made, again from an iron-on transfer, and he's cut out of a needlepoint. So I'm just deciding how I want to put him in, maybe upside down. So just thinking about what I want to put underneath this beautiful bit of shelf liner here. Something that's going to show through, I think, show through here. So I'm going to work on that in a minute. And then this is my page about our adventures, and we went shopping. We went to lots of different little shops and places, and of course the tulip stamps that I got from Dirty Jane's and the tulip spoon. So we're moving on. Haven't decided what to do here, but I'm going to start stitching now. We're going to stitch Robertson down, and again, if you haven't watched the previous videos, my maiden name was Robertson, my mum's name is Robertson. And we went to Robertson where the Green Door studio is, and we had a lovely day there. So that's the stitching I'm going to do, and also my rabbit. So I'm going to start with this little guy and just decide what I want under him. Because I have these holes, I want something that you can see. So it's either got to be quite a bold colour, or it's got to be a pattern that is going to sit. And because he's so, you know, cream and lovely, you know, he'll sit against anything. He doesn't have a lot of pattern. So I'm just going to pull over a few trays that I have of fabrics and just see if I can find anything that I can't live without. Blue check stands out to me. These are just some charm squares. Some of them are fabrics left from Corinne's retreats in the little packs that she gave us. They're all lovely, so they're here in my box. This is actually a toile. I'm going to grab that one out. Oh, and this is even a better one. Look at that, the red. But there's not enough busyness. It's not busy enough. So that's probably nothing else on there. Let me duck around the corner. So if you have just arrived at this video, please go back and watch the earlier ones about how to put this together. It's so easy. It really is. A pillowcase. I deliberately worked with things that were easy to find. A really boring doily, some hexagons you can make out of any fabric, and then a couple of offcuts. This little guy, I just did him from, it's the same actually, it's that same template, from an iron-on transfer, and I just did red work myself, as you can tell by the fact it's not very good. And the rest is just offcuts of fabrics that I love, just stitched together. Straight stitch is all you need. So let's have a look. So far I have these two to consider. Let me just dig. Actually, I don't mind that because of all of the beautiful big pine trees that we saw. I probably don't want a 1930s fabric. They're all little bits. Let's have a look at the couple that I have grabbed. So we're looking from this side. When we look through, that looks a bit Christmassy. I don't really want to do Christmassy. This one in wool as well, probably. Let's just see. No, that gets lost in the red. Okay, I don't mind that, but the checks are too big. So I'm going to go and look for a smaller check in a gingham or a plaid. Hold on while I wander off for a minute. Excuse my thumbing around. Queensland summer, I have thumbs on. Let's have a look. Now I just need to grab out a box from the cupboard. I have a box of checks somewhere. Oopsie daisy. Just knocked the whole box over. So ignore me for a minute. My mum thinks this is hilarious when I wander off and do things. Sorry about that. Alright, I'm just looking through my pile. I'm coming back. So here here are some checks that I have. So this one's talking to me. Let's try that one first, hey? And this is lovely. It's like a tablecloth weight. It's not very exciting, is it? Maybe it's just not going to be very exciting. Maybe we just need to stop. Oh, let's just try one that is a smaller check or a bolder. It's a bit too bold. I'd have to tea dye that, I think. Let's try this one. What do you think? Let's make a decision between those two. Let's see what it's opposite. See, now that it's opposite that, I feel like it should be a different colour. Again, I don't like to overthink things. That's not the right colour. Don't mind that, given that it's the Highlands and everything's Scottish down there. Don't mind that, but I'm not loving it. Hang on, I'm off again. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Sorry. I'm looking for my blue basket. Here we go. All right, this is better. This is what I was after. These are the fabrics I've got together for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 8, my blues. So that's what I was looking for. I'm going to try that one. And then that one. They're just a bit bolder. And they're just a bit stronger in the blue. So let's try those. They're too country instead of, you know, let's pretend they just came out of a chateau in France. All fun. Let's have a look. Yeah, I like that one. Do you want the little teeny tiny one or this one? It looks like it could be a tablecloth from Provence. Right, I'm going to go with, big decision, I'm going to go with this one. Okay, so literally, I'll show you how I'm going to attach this, if I can find my scissors. It's going to be the most basic requirements of skill. So I'm literally going to approximate the width. I kind of want it just to tuck, yeah, there. Do I want it to be a page, a piece, just, you know, on there like that, cut off, or do I want it to, oh, it might have a pocket. I could go a long ways. Let's do a pocket. I don't think I have a pocket yet. Let's do a little pocket. Now is my rabbit going to come out of the pocket? No, I don't want him out of the pocket. What if I did a flap instead of a pocket? Let's have a look. So, again, making a decision. He looks lovely on that blue check. I like him a lot. And he's not too white. The others had too much white going on. So let's put him there. Let's do it this way. Let's put him there. Fold him up. He can actually be the bit that lifts up, and I can put something underneath. That's good. Very, very happy with that, and very easy. Again, not overthinking anything too much. I am thinking that I need a trim along there. I'm going to grab down my box. Let me get rid of my plaids and checks, because again, this is my new resolution, to put away as I go, because otherwise it's just overwhelming at the end. I'm going to bring down my box of trims. I did tea dye a whole heap when I was tea dyeing some pants the other day. So I'm going to bring my box down. I'll show you my box. I'm going to have to just zoom you out a bit first. So this is my box of trims. I'll show you. I'm going to just look for the blues and, guess what, blues, browns and reds, because that seems to be where I am. This isn't tea dyed, but still, I kind of did a bit, and these that are tea dyed. This is the most gorgeous one. I'm going to grab that out. And I don't want the ducks. Oh, I did find some ducks, didn't I? All right. Again, make a few choices and then move on. So it doesn't. Otherwise, you could be making decisions all day and not sewing. So My rabbit's going to sit here like this. I'm going to leave that open underneath. I don't know why yet, I just am. And then I think though along the top here I would quite like to run a piece of, let's have a look, do I want something like that one? That looks really neat, I don't like it at all. What if I have this really beat up one? We're running that way, that looks much better, doesn't it? Again, let's make a decision. And I never cut to the exact size when I'm still working, because obviously I like to fold and we like to make it look like it just kind of landed there. Actually, I really like that. So just thinking about now how I'm going to make this work, I think I'm just literally going to sew him on and then fold it under. I did see someone in one of the comments, it might have been on Rachel's Roxy Creations page, where they said they're going to make their pages first and then stick them together, tie them together. You can do that, but actually part of how they go together is what creates a design challenge, and I think that's what stretches you to come up with something different other than always working in flat, easy to access things where you tend to do the same thing over and over. So you can do that, absolutely, but that's kind of why I like to not work like that. I'm just going to put that so I know where his feet are. So I'm going to sew him on, and I'll show you exactly how easy this is, because I'm going to get my needles. I'm going to grab, so I'm just going to sew it on first and then think about if I want to do any decorative stitching. I want to use quite a heavy thread. It's quite a bit darker. That one's a funny colour. It's a funny colour, isn't it? I don't know what it is, almost salmon. So I think when all else fails, use brown. That's my rule. So here's brown. Is it brown? No, that's blue. Okay, I've got brown already. I have brown ready to go. Okay. So this is just a variegated brown pearly cotton. It's quite fine. So it's going to slot in between the little squares quite easily. That's it there. It's from Vinnie's. There you go. Random brown it's called. Love a bit of random brown. And because this is going to be folded over, I can just stitch straight through from the underside. Let's get my thimble. So I found today 2 more treasures that I can make some vintage journals out of. And again, looking for things we can use to feel like, look like, act like vintage pieces of quilting, pretending we've been off on a beautiful holiday to the south of France and collected a heap of gorgeous things at a brocante, but instead have been to Bundy op shops and are collecting various quilted bits and pieces. These, however, were already mine, to be honest. They are, and I'll show you in a minute, they were Toile blue and white placemats that, again, I've been using, and they've just come to the end of their life. So they now, I just look at them and think they are quilted bits of fabric. They're beautiful, they're Toile, they're blue and white, and I'm going to treat them like a precious gift from abroad. So I'm not trying to hide my stitching here. I'm literally just going to stitch around him, because it's all a bit experimental, this little book. So, you know, this may work, it may not. So you kind of have to be a bit happy to give something a go and alter your approach as things change. I keep catching the threads. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So you can see I'm just stitching the rabbit onto the top of this bit of beautiful blue and cream, blue and tan gingham. As Americans would call it, plaid. Is this plaid? Buffalo check, maybe. So obviously I'm not going to stitch all up around the top of him because he's not going to be in contact. I'm going to stitch straight across the middle of the back, a little bit lower. And because I don't necessarily want a line across the middle of my little guy, I'm going to just go straight up and see how the stitches, you have a little space. So if you pretty much stay, like I've got this stitch here, can you see? I'm pretty much going to stay parallel to that stitch, and you shouldn't see it. Well, not very much anyway. Enough to make me happy. Anyway, so they're just going to be little teeny tiny stitches across the top. So I've got a little bunny flappy bit to lift up. So who knows what other treasures I need to put in here. So my iris is drying in the background. And then I will go and grab some tea, some hot water when he's dry and dip him. And I'll show you how I do that too. It's very, very easy. So this little bunny might well find himself with some different coloured fabrics around his neck. He might get some more decorative stitching, I would think, as my journal goes on. But I find that I am loving putting the big elements together in this little journal here in my sewing room, and then if you want to go somewhere, you just take it and you kind of just add to the pages you've already done. So, you know, as a stitching journal, when you're out and about, it's it's turned out that the ideal use of it is to do more adding and embellishing to things while you're out, and the new kind of creation of new pages, etc. at home. So anyway, that's how I'm doing it, and I'm going to try some new things in here. Okay, down his little leg. And this is just an offcut of a needle point that I've used the rest of. Gonna keep everything. Use everything, keep everything. So at the moment he's the only thing on this bit of gingham, and again that might stay the same or that might change. It's kind of going to be, ow, that's my finger, a work in progress. Okay, we're nearly all the way around. Oh, ow, don't do that. One more for good luck, and then we'll tie off and sew ourselves on. You can see I've just done really basic stitches, really, really easy. Nothing to it. I'm just going to tie him off there, and I can't find my little pink scissors, unfortunately. Usually it's because I've folded them into something. Okay, so that's him. I'm just going to pop my eye in there to get rid of that mark. Actually, I don't even know if it's on. First. While that's heating up, let's have a play. So he's going to go here, just like that, because I don't want the blue to hang out at the end. So I'm going to pull you in a little bit more there, fella. And then this little guy, I'm going to stitch him on when I stitch this down. I'm going to stitch him all the way along the edge, so Bunny will be on top, and he's going to be a bit wonky and folded over and bunched up and dodgy. Let me just find my pins. Here they are. So I want him to be, just making sure this bit of red, I want that to be equally placed, like in the middle. Let's just put some pins in and see what happens. Beautiful. And because this is his little flappy bit, so I can pop him up out of the way. Should have left a bit more room on here, shouldn't I? Lesson learned, hey. Maybe like that. A little bit funny bit folded up and then back down to there. It's just gone too much up that way for me. Hang on. Might pin the bottom bit first so that I don't pull it skew with. Geez, I can't line that up today. There we go. I'm just going to do that with this bit so it's kind of a bit funny, just there. I'm going to have to put him long ways. So that is my trim. So I'm going to stitch him all the way down here and along, and then I'll have a look at, actually I'll just do it that way, that's easier, isn't it? I'm just going to stitch boom, boom, boom. I am going to stitch along the bottom here. Actually I might stitch that inside. So I might do that one first, and fold it closed, come up through and go all the way around. So just thinking about what that's going to look like on this side. So I might just use a yarn that's this, thread that's this colour. So that it just disappears for now. Either that or I use a blue thread and just, maybe that's all brown. See, all straight away I'm reaching for brown, because I could just do it. And if I did, let me just think about that, if I did cross stitches all the way up, and if I did them on the back without looking at the front, I could do them, nah, you know what, that's too much thinking. And it would look too contrived, so let's use this one and not overthink it again. It's supposed to be fun, not stressful. Okay, my iron is heated up, so I'm just going to go and get rid of that bit of line on there, which is one of those friction pens that will disappear as soon as I put a heater on it like that. So that bit's done. He's gone. So I'm just going to pin that. Now will that close? Alright, so that's the line. I'm just going to draw on that line on the inside so I know which line it is. I'm going to start with him. Get with some thimble. I just cut a short edge so that I can tuck it under somewhere. So I'm literally going to stitch this onto the front page, unless I do that, of course. Let me just put another couple of pins at the top here. And I love this bit of trim, isn't it stunning? So I'm going to try and go, I want to go below this red line here. So I'm going to just keep him down there, that's it. Probably better to stitch from this side, don't you think? So I might just flip him over like this. Again, a book's good because you can get at it from every angle. I'm just going to go up and over. Sorry, it's probably difficult to see. Okay, let's go again. I might actually go up and back because I'm having to do quite big stitches to get through from one side, if you know what I mean. Let's have a look. Roll him up, there we go, it's better. So you can see where I've just stitched these pages together with some crochet cotton there. There we go. Slippery today, my little needle. Where am I there? It's one of those awkward jobs. Okay, it's better now. I can reach it from this end one. I'm just, with my hand on the other side, I'm just making sure that I push the gingham down so that it's being caught with the needle as well. And so I'll end up with a line up the middle of the gingham, which is fine because it's going to be inside. There we go, do a little one there. Whoa. Again, just wherever I can fit him. My little house eaves in the way. There it is. And I'll have a look. This might be enough, or I might need to go back down the other way just to make sure there's enough stitches. And this one's not going to participate. So I'm going to go back through this side. Where are you, friend? There. Isn't this a beautiful piece of trim? I think I got it from Tate's Vintage online. Either there or Mac and Morgan is where I tend to get. Tate's Vintage is on Facebook and Mac and Morgan is on Instagram. And both of them are Australian ladies who find treasures and sell them. And little bits of treasure, which is when you're a slow stitcher, it's all you need. You know, I don't want meters, I just want a little bit of everything. Checking I'm not stitching anything together that I shouldn't be. Alright, so I'm just going to finish with my needle on top, and then we're going to check out what we've done. Because who would know? Let's see. So there is my seam. Can you see it through the middle there? And I think that's actually going to be fine. I don't think I need to do any more. So I'm going to turn it back to the right way around. I'll get rid of my pen. Turning back to the right way around. And I'm going to fold my rabbit back. And then I'm going to start here. And we're going to sew around the three sides. So I'm going to go across, down, and across here. So again, just picking up both of the whole page. And I'm not going to be too precious about what I see on the other side. Look, I'll have a look, but you are going to see some stuff because, you know, that's the nature of the journal, and I quite like that. Yeah, perfect. So I'm just going to, let me just have a look in there. I'm just trying to actually get it in some bits that have fabric because quite a bit of this is wholly, oh no, we're good now. And again, keeping that quite taut because that little rabbit has a bit of weight. Okay, let's show you what that's looking like on the other side. That's fine. I can actually do a couple in a row. This is quite a fine thread, so it's going on really easily. Now I'm coming to my trim. Now I just have to make sure I don't go so far off here that oh no, it goes right to the edge. So I'm thinking I kind of just want to run it about here, below the image. Am I back in? Yes, we are. Just below the little star here, the little flower. Just along here, so that I've got a bit of lift at either side. Again, in case I decide to add anything a bit later. So let's just see where that leaves us on that side. Where am I? Here I am. Okay, so here I am coming up here. Look, I'm going to try and stay in the white squares, but I'm not too fussed if I don't. Because, so I'm just going to do some stitching. Let's have a look if I go to about here. I can just change my spot by a little bit. Yeah, that makes it easy, sorry. So I might just, that's fine. I'm just going to follow this bit along now because I've got this big bit of white where I can sew. Just making sure I have all the layers, the top layer, the gingham, and the bit of trim. And again, the beauty of this is you get this on and then it's on, the pins are out, and then, you know, you're free to sit and fiddle. Sit and fiddle while you're watching telly or just stitching in the garden or whatever. Now here is a bit that's folded. I want to make sure I get right through the crease, right through the fold. And again, see, I've just come through the red, so I'm just going to pull back a little bit. That's all it took, just a slight repositioning. So not a big overthink or a change in what I'm doing, just a slight little reposition. And then, where am I now? I lost myself. I was going to take these two pins out because I can. So I am here, I lost myself there, I am there. And what I'll probably do is do some more seed stitching on this side, and then that stitching will just be lost in all of that. Just going to go, where am I here? I'm going to this one. Again, I'm not even looking at the other side at the moment. I might be right across the blue holes, that's right. Good. How's your Thursday been? My poor son, he's been waiting for news of a job that was supposed to come through today. And then he got a message to say they're going to need another couple of weeks before they make a decision. Poor bugger. Really? How hard is it? But anyway. Okay, back to this little bit of white down here. Which gives me lots of room. So this bit that's turned up, I'll come back and do that. That's going to be just decorative rather than architectural, rather than holding everything together. Whoa. I'm just going to do a stitch there and then squat up into this box because I don't want it to look like an arch. Oh, that's two sides done. I might have to rethread some more thread. Right, so let's take this pin out. That one's going to stay because it will remind me to go back and just sew that little guy up, which I'll probably do with a contrasting thread, I'd say. So now I'm just going to go down the side. I am just going to tie off. See here, I need to go back in a bit because my gingham is lower. So I'm going to use the opportunity to tie off with a cross, and then I will catch. So the beauty of this sort of stitching is you can solve your problems as you go by changing what you do. So now that he is in there, I'm just going to stitch myself into the middle there and do that again. Ow. And cut that off. It's not going anywhere. Let me just grab my thread again. Was it that one? Yes, it was. Again, threads from Vinnie's. I always have this kind of camely colour, creams and whites. Always available. So all I have to do now is go down this last side, the third side. And then I'm going to come back and do a bit of decorative stitching and just have a think about if I want anything else on my bunny. So again, I'm just going to cut my thread quite close to the knot so that I can tuck it up easily. So I'm going to come up in between the layers here. I've got 1, 2, 3 layers. I'm going to come up under the blue here so that my knot will be in there. I'm just going to do a stay stitch, which I might just do another little cross because that would make sense. And then start stitching down this side, just making sure that I actually catch the gingham this time. So I'm going to bring it over to here. Right. So here I am now working here, and I pretty much have a clear run on the other side because it's just the white part of the design. Alright, so that is my pocket. He is going to be there. Probably need to reinforce the side of this a little bit, so I'm sure there will be additional stitching somewhere. As I said, some pieces are so beautiful they don't need a lot. The piece on the back of this is absolutely stunning. So probably just some more of the this cream colour seed stitch I'll do just to make all that stitching blend in. I'm not going to stitch along there, I don't need that. Just going to go one more for good luck. And then I'm going to tie myself off again. Let's pop it down through here. Let's go back the other way. And we are good to go. Let's have a look at my little rabbit pocket. So this is what it's looking like on this side. I still have that pin there. So look, you can't even, there's no interruption to that beautiful design at all. You can see a few of my stitches. So what I'll probably do is do just some more really simple, you know, mindless stitching to fill all these little gaps. And then that will be that page left because it's just beautiful. And here's my little pocket. He's gorgeous, my little rabbit. Look, he opens up. I am just going to do a stitch there. I think I want a blue I seem to have run out of navy blue, so guess what colour I'm going to use instead? I need to go and get some blue from Spotlight. Colours are the one thing that I do tend not to see a lot of at Vinnie's, and when you do, they're generally some awful colour. But if I do see any coloured threads at all, I always grab them. Better than in landfill, hey? So again, let's see where we are. This is loose along here still. That gives me choices later, but it's stitched on like it's not going anywhere. Just do that. Again, it's a bit loose at the side. So I'm just going to take myself up in here. I can actually duck in this way because you can see that this is open. I can hide multitudes of things in there. So I'm going to just duck under here to start. I don't want it to show through the holes on this side. So I'm just going to duck between the blue and the white to start. And my little knot will disappear in there. And I'm just going to do some. And I'm not going all the way through. I'm just going into the blue, I think. Yes. Oh, there's a train. Through just to make that little bit stay where I want it to go. And again, I'm just going to the gingham. I'm not going through to the other side. But there's no rules. There's no rules to this at all. It's just fun and learning new things. Just like a diary would be to just write random things. This is just to stitch random things. Now, rather than follow the curve of that, I'm going to go straight up, just because, you know, that's what it's telling me to do. And then we're going to check out my iris. Just going to go one bit over there, a bit bigger. A little stitch here. Just catching both. Oh, I'll go through there, you. And that's going to be him. And again, I can just thread that needle up and through because I've got a bit of room. Through that way. All right, trim him off right down there. So there is my rabbit pocket. Who doesn't need a rabbit pocket in their life? He's gorgeous. I'm so dry tonight. Sorry, hang on. And here's my little house. So at the moment I've got the birds and my sky and my garden, and I'm not doing anything else just for now. So that's the beauty again of this book. I keep saying that is you can just be done with that bit for now and come back. So that's my new little rabbit page. What I'll pop in there, I don't know. Something exciting. Now I have a challenge to put something in there. I don't know what. But that's really simple. I don't know. I might go around the edge of him. Not blanket stitch. I'm not a fan of blanket stitch, but some just maybe just a tight over edge stitch like that. I might just do him in a dark brown even. I have this. See, now that I've said that, that's what I want to do. I have this here, which is quite a thick wool type of crochet cotton. It's more dense. I actually have a little bit on my needle already, so let's just try it. Let's just see if it's what I want to do. So I'm just going to knot the end. Sorry, I got distracted from my iris. Again, I'm going to pull that tight and then cut close to it so I can hide my knot more easily. So I can probably go in. Do you reckon that would hide? I'll just go underneath, hey, because I can. So I'm going to start randomly here, and I might just see. I just don't want it to look too neat. That's the danger. So I will catch the blue with it, where there is fabric to catch. I don't want it to pucker. And it's not a very heavy cotton. I probably should have used something that was a bit thicker, like a ticking or a. It's all right. And I don't want it to be neat. So I might have to just do it one by one. See, this would have been easier before I sewn it together, but I didn't want to do it then. There's the challenge in that. Okay, so this is coming apart a little bit at the edge, but that's all right. I'm just going to go over it and use that to hold it together. Just stitching over the top of those loose threads down. See, now I need to come back and do that one because they're too neat. Okay, that's better. To here. This is going to be one of those jobs that takes a minute. Oh, I'm going to go off and finish this. Actually, before we do that, I'll leave that. You can see where I'm going with that. Let's have a look at my iris. Oh, there he is. Look, I'm quite happy with that. So next time you see this, it's going to be tea dyed. You can still see I'm still a bit obvious there, the pencil marks. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, whether it's too much water, not enough water. But I'm going to live with it as it is because it's obviously an iris. I love it. So I'm going to tea dye the whole thing, and then when I see you next, we'll figure out what to do with it. So I am doing brown on my rabbit. I'm going to leave that little thing in there like that, and a little needle ready to go. I finished this page. I'm just thinking about how I want to join this, how I want to close him. That's still to think about. Not sure about here, and then I need to sew on my Robertson Clan sigil, bit of sigil, and have a think about these pages. So thanks so much for popping in. Thanks again if you've come via Rachel, and thank you so much, Rachel, for talking about my work and sharing it. And I love your version as usual. It's stunning. You have got the most beautiful style. But thank you very much for sharing me and including me in your channel. So I'll see you again soon.